welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Greg and
Thomas.
Awesome, we are back. Also, we want to let y'all know that we went on a hiatus without even letting you know, because we can do whatever the fuck we want because it's our lives. But you know, I personally have been going through some shit. Landlord, fuck you. If you're a landlord, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a landlord, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta tell you about my life right now. Anyway, today we have Jason Call, who is running for Congress in Washington 2nd District. Also, he's been here before. And we will be talking about how the U.S. House just decriminalized marijuana and what that means, and we'll say our take on it. And all right, so let's go ahead and start our discussion. Right, and we have the wonderful Jason Call. Thank you for coming on. Welcome back.
Hey, it's great to see you guys again. I wore tie-dye for the occasion.
Yes. And to start this conversation, I'm just gonna go ahead and take a celebratory hit.
You know what? I'm gonna join you. Hold on. Watch this. Gotta open the window though.
I'll just take another one. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, I would, but it's a federal crime if I do it.
Oh, yeah, you're not allowed. Yeah, you're not allowed.
Because you're here on a visa?
Because I'm an immigrant. And immigrants fall under federal jurisdiction.
Allowed to smoke weed in states where it's legal? You're in California, right?
No.
That is crazy. We're going to change that law. When I'm elected, we are going to change that law.
Yes, thank you.
Criminal.
Yeah.
All right,
how are you guys doing?
Oh, we're going through it. We were just coming back from hiatus because I've been going through some shit.
Yeah, I heard about that. Have you got your shit resolved?
I don't know, not yet. But I said in the intro, if you're a landlord, fuck you. So. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Where's your?
Yeah, we need to have a conversation about landlords.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. I already took my hit.
Oh, you already took it? Oh, okay. Well,
I took my hit and blew it out the window already. I'll probably take another one before we're done here, though.
Awesome. All right.
I have to blow it out the window in my house, though.
Go ahead and give us an update about your campaign. How's it going?
Well, I have to tell you, it's going actually really well. We had some very exciting news today, even. If you saw my Twitter, I posted that a local legislative district has offered or requested to host a forum, their endorsement committee, with me and the incumbent, Rick Larson, where we would both be present and answering the endorsement committee's questions at the same time. Now, this is actually a really big step. The reality is, when you've got a long-term incumbent like this who's being challenged in a progressive, he knows he does not have the progressive credentials that the district is really seeking at this point. And so there's really no benefit to him to accept it. I mean, he could pass on the endorsement. Like, the worst thing he would do is, this legislative district, maybe won't endorse him because he doesn't show up. But, he's still running on name recognition. He's still running on a $1 million war chest that he raises every year. So he's, but it would say something. He went through the entirety of the 2020 campaign. And so far this year, every time that he's had an opportunity to talk about the campaign, he says, when I'm facing the eventual Republican that will be on the ballot. But he knows very well that my campaign is strong this year, and that there is a very good chance that I'm going to be on the ballot with him. So it may not benefit him to accept this legislative district offer to do this forum. He may just forego the endorsement. This is a legislative district whose endorsement committee unanimously recommended me to the body last year. Now, I didn't get their endorsement last year because there was a little bit of fuckery and internal sabotage. People, when you're up against the establishment and when you're a public figure, and I would say I'm okay with being called a controversial public figure at this point. I mean, I understand that I'm espousing policies that are progressive. I'm aggressively progressive. I take no bullshit. You know, I give no fucks. I'm here because we're running out of time on so many fronts. And so that's controversial when you talk about going into a more of an establishment setting and saying, hey, we really need to change things up. Status quo, it's not working for us. And so you get people who get very freaked out and they want to start telling lies about you. And so that's how I lost their endorsement last year, even though I got the endorsement of 7 other county and legislative districts. But anyway, it was really, really, really interesting because this kind of, I mean, I don't want to downplay the real opportunity here for me and him to go head to head in a public setting. He does not like to do that, and he is not good at it either. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for you.
And so on top of that, we just ended the first filing quarter, March 31st, the end of the filing quarter, had our best quarter, had our best month, our second best month of fundraising in a row. February was our best month of fundraising, and then March was again our best month of fundraising, and you know, substantially more. Like it's like we're definitely on an upward trajectory for fundraising. I'm very excited about that. You know, I hate money in politics, and I stand for campaign finance reform, and I stand for public funding of elections. But given the system that we are in, you know, the reality is we got to pay for some things. We got to pay for some tech things. We got to pay for some printing things. The way that we reach the public is to have money for us to do that. We're never going to raise the money that he raises, but I'm happy with the trajectory that we're on right now because we can legitimately say things are in an upwards direction. So I think, you know, all in all, we got endorsement season coming up here over April and May. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now let's go ahead and go into our discussion. So, the House just voted to decriminalize marijuana, and now it's going to move to the Senate for, you know, a vote there, and there goes my troublemaker. Yeah, so this is a good step forward, but I mean, there's still a lot that needs to be done. You know, for example, if this were to happen, it doesn't. I'm trying to form my thought. It doesn't change the fact that there are people there for people in prison for marijuana still, and there's people who can still be denied a job for smoking weed. You know, there's people who can't even participate in the industry because of the color of their skin. Like, there's still so much, many issues when it comes to marijuana. It's not just, you know, decriminalizing it, but it's also, you got to do those things as well. And also reparations for people who have been put in jail. I want to go ahead and start with you, Jason. Give me your take on this. And yeah.
Sure. Well, this is the second time the MORE Act has passed now in the House. It did pass in the last legislative session, and I want to say now I have not read the text of the bill, and I really haven't even looked over all the serious bullet points. But I do want to say that I think that there is an expungement of records that comes along with this. You know, I don't know if you have read it, Thomas, or maybe you can correct me if you're talking. I can dig that up, but I do think that there's an expungement thing going on here, which is absolutely what we need. So I'm very excited about that. It will mean that cannabis businesses can use the regular banking system, as far as I know. That now that it's no longer going to be federally illegal, that they can take advantage of all the standard banking services for businesses, which was a problem prior. But here's the thing, and I think this is the thing that we have to talk about. It's not going to pass the Senate, right? I mean, I just don't think that there's any way this thing is going to pass the Senate. So, you know, we're going to be back to square one again, and really, you know, talking about the importance of identifying senators who are not supportive of this and just getting them out of there. You know, that's, you know, but we got to get this thing passed.
And
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, even if it passes the Senate, I don't even think Biden would sign it.
I was just about to say that.
I really don't. you know, like, people need to remember that Biden and Harris, they bragged about smoking themselves. Like, Harris has bragged about smoking herself, and they promised weed decriminalization in their platform and expungement, right? Yet, in this time in office, they've used their power to not only stop, they tried to get their own staff members to come forward and be honest with their applications about whether they'd smoked or are smoking weed. And what did they do as a retaliation? They fired them, every single one that came forward and were honest. And so we've got to take it at face value and go, well, if this is foreshadowing events to come, I cannot see this administration going forward with decriminalization or legalization. If that's their stance with their own staff members in a state that is legal, by the way.
Yeah. Let me just clarify here, because I just quickly looked this up from 2 days ago. It says the MORE Act would expunge marijuana convictions and clear criminal penalties for anyone who distributes or possesses cannabis. So, I mean, it's a big step if we get it passed.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's the big thing, and maybe this is the elephant in the room. The prison industrial complex is such a huge moneymaker, and drug offenses, nonviolent drug offenses, are such a big part of the money that goes into that prison industrial complex system. I think you're right, Thomas. I think, you know, even if it passed, even though the majority of Democrats and the majority of Republicans, and certainly the majority of anybody who's outside the two parties, I mean, libertarians are all about weed. You know, I mean, a lot of the ones that I know, they're all about it being legal. And certainly on the other side of it, socialists are definitely about weed legalization. So, you know, the public is behind this thing, but we've got such a corrupt system, Thomas, that you may be correct about that. You absolutely may be correct. So this thing goes to Biden. But here's the thing that I would say about that. I think it would be a death blow for any re-election bid. So
I also it doesn't just, you know, keep the prison industrial complex going, but it also keeps big pharma going by making it illegal, because, you know, weed has been known to stop the growth of cancer cells, stop the process of Alzheimer's. I fucking smoke it for my anxiety and my back pain. You know, people use it for medicinal purposes. It's been used for medicinal purposes for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
You know, you go, you know, in literally 100 years ago in the 1920s, you can go to the drugstore and they used to like have cannabis oil for headaches. You just apply it on your head, which still works, by the way. You know, so it feeds into a lot of things that the establishment has donors from. So it's
not just surprise me. It's alcohol, tobacco. You know, there are a lot of like substance lobbies that you know really don't want this to pass. And the other thing is if it does pass, if the legalization does pass, they want to get their hooks into the business. They know it's going to be cutting into their profits. They want to make sure that they can control whatever the cannabis industry is. And that's why, you know, honestly, that's one of the reasons that I'll just continue to grow my own. I don't need to go buy weed that is sold in the store. I love that I can go to a dispensary if I want to, but the reality is I can grow a couple of plants. You know, I can have 2 plants growing year round, run like 3 crops, and I've got all the weed I need. You know, for where I am in life. I'm not interested in it as a business for myself.
Yeah, you don't have to brag.
I just honestly, I just want to have my own homegrown weed and leave it at that. You know, so I hope that this thing really does pass. You know, the weed laws have done way too much damage in this country for far too long, and certainly they've been disproportionately ethnically targeted. And you know, there we go.
Well, like the thing I like to bring up a lot, particularly around the United States, is prohibition and how devastating and damaging, if you read a history book, that was in the United States. How it killed so many people because making something illegal does not stop the use of said item. Right. And particularly something where people might be dependent on it, or it's alcohol for a lot of people was something to get them through the day, or get them through labor intensive jobs, or it was just a something for people to be dependent on to get. But the problem is, when you made it illegal, it meant that people were mixing with all sorts of chemicals and all sorts of, and it just killed so many people because it was illegal.
Well, we see that right now with opioids and fentanyl. I mean, it's just one of the things. It's one of the reasons that I support Cory Bush's bill to essentially legalize all drugs. I mean, we need to legalize all drugs.
Yeah.
And for people who are struggling with addiction troubles, we need to have the health services there. And I get so tired of that was their choice to do that. There are so many factors behind why somebody ends up getting hooked. Literally, I was talking to a friend today. In fact, a friend who made this T-shirt, and I got this T-shirt today. He tells his mom almost died of an opioid overdose, and that was legally prescribed opium. And people, so people get prescribed this stuff. I mean, we can't not lose sight of the fact that a ton of addictions are from legally prescribed drugs that are overprescribed, and then people can't get themselves off of. And so when those prescriptions eventually stop, those addicted people are turning to street drugs, which are extremely dangerous. So I don't judge anybody who has gotten themselves in a, let's just call it a predicament, with being addicted to drugs. I mean, I'm an atheist, but I would still say, for the grace of God, there go I, but we've got to, the science says we've got to do better. And I wish in this country we would stop focusing on these moral judgments, these archaic patriarchal moral judgments, and really start focusing on the science of what is a healthy society.
I agree. Now, Jason, I wanted to also ask, I really hope you get elected, but let's say you get elected, okay? What are you doing? How are you tackling this issue?
How am I? Well, I mean, I've always been a weed advocate. I'm quite open with people that, first of all, I'm a user. I just took a hit right there. I'll take another one when we're done. But I honestly, I've smoked weed since I was 14 years old. I am 50 now. I have smoked weed for almost 75% of my life. And here I am. I was a high school teacher. People talk about it being a gateway drug, so my own experience, I'm very open with people. Like, I have smoked weed since I was 14. I have done a fair amount of mushrooms and LSD. I feel like it made me who I am today. It opened up consciousness, which I think is something that the powers that be don't like about weed, because it's not necessarily a gateway drug to harder drugs, but it is a gateway drug to being very more liberally minded about how we should live our lives, without so much sort of authoritarian intrusion. And I truly, I've thought that since, for the longest time. But, I'm running against somebody who, even though he voted for the MORE Act twice now, in 20 years in office, he has never been in support of it until I'm running right now. The only reason he is in support of it now is because the majority of Democrats are now voting for it, and he would stick out like a sore thumb, and he doesn't like to stick out like a sore thumb, and over his career, he has voted at least 4 times to allow the Department of Justice to prosecute for cannabis in states where it was already legal, including Washington State here, which was the first state to legalize in the country, along with, I always have to say, along with Colorado. But I mean, that's how out of touch he has been. And I've been on the front edge of this. I was actually on the volunteer team that was out collecting signatures weekend after weekend, back in 2012 with I-502 to get us to that legalization point. So, you've got somebody who is an activist on these issues, against somebody who is sort of probably reluctantly or begrudgingly voting for this. That's where that stands.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for hopping on the show and having this discussion. You're my favorite stoner running for office. You really are.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching another episode of Let's Talk with Greg and
Thomas.
And we'll see you next week.
It's good to see you guys again. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I talked too much in this show, but it's because I
No, you're all right.
took a hit.
See you next week, folks.